There's this quote I really like that says, "Luck is when opportunity meets preparation." If someone ever tells you that you're not good enough, what do? We keep on going. If someone tells you you're never gonna get anywhere, what do? We keep on going. If someone tries to ever crush your dreams in any way, what do? We keep on going. I don't think there's anything more pure than following your passion. So keep on going. I believe one of the ways we can truly impact people's lives is by doing every single thing we can with passion. And once again, what do when we're not sure about this passion? We keep on going. Whatever you're looking for, it might take you a little bit more time than what it took someone else. It might be a complete different route, but I can assure you that God has a plan for you. So keep on going, because what you do and what you're passionate about matters and can impact others in ways you have no idea. So don't stop. Keep on going. You've got this. So moving on with the video. Welcome. I'm Jay Eskar, and today I'm going to show you how I made my newest song, Let You Down. I mean, as you've seen from the intro, I am very passionate about this whole music thing. I've been making music for pretty much my whole life. I have this photo of me as a kid. I would steal buckets from my grandpa, put them upside down, and I would just lay down a whole drum set of different paint buckets, and I would be playing for hours. I was like 2 years old or something like that. It looks like I've always been passionate about music. Somehow I ended up making electronic music, and I just released this song called Let You Down. Let's go together on this road of understanding how I made this song, the idea behind it, and the technical parts about it, okay? So let's get right into it. This song started off in a very similar way than Echoes of Me. I got some vocals sent from a website, so the original vocal sounded like this.
But I let you down.
What I did to this vocal was to simply add formant shifting. There's a stretch mode called Stretch Pro, which lets you shift the formant. Let me play around with it while we listen to the vocal.
But I let you down just to keep you.
If you choose something around 300 cents, this is how it sounds like.
But I let you down just to keep you around.
And that's the result of a simple technique that can add a ton of depth to your vocals. So usually for vocals, I tend to use 4 layers, which is the main vox.
I'll be the plug whenever you need a high. Enough is enough, wish to
Doubles.
I'll be the plug whenever you need a high. Enough is enough, wish the words could be mine.
A higher octave layer.
I'll be the plug whenever you need a high. Enough is enough.
And then a very deep vox layer.
I'll be the plug whenever you need a high. Enough is enough, wish the words could.
When you combine all of these, you can get a very big result.
It come true. I'll be the plug whenever you need a high. Enough is enough, wish the words could be mine. Oh, but I let you down just.
Pretty damn cool, huh? Processing wise for vocals, I am adding a vocal writer, so the vocal can sound a little bit more consistent. I'm also doing some surgical EQ to get rid of some of those annoying resonances. I'm also using an SSL channel. I'm using R compressor, and I'm using RVox. And as a parallel split, I'm using Manny Marroquin reverb, Manny Marroquin delay. And with the help of macros, I'm controlling the clarity, the de-esser, which actually I forgot to mention, how compressed the vocal is. I'm controlling the gain, and I'm controlling the reverb and delay amounts. So that's what I'm doing to the vocals. If it's not the main vocal though, I'm getting rid of some of the highs and most of the lows. That's it, besides the other processing. So anyways, I had these vocals and all I had to do was to create a chord progression. I'm actually using 2 chord progressions for this song. You can hear the first chord progression, the first 8 bars on the song, and it sounds like this. And below it, there's a bass following the same progression. When you play them together, it sounds like this. Now, the second chords that I made sound and look like this. So as you can notice, The second chord progression is sort of the same as the first chord progression, but it is slower, giving you a lot more tension. It really feels like these vocals go from this hopeful sort of state to this almost depressing feeling. I really wanted the listener to feel like the mood was about to change. And I did that by creating silence. I silenced everything when the first chord progression switched to the second chord progression, from hopeful to depressing. Here's how it sounds like.
I know you want the best and I feel the same, but I let you down just to keep you around, right next to you.
So that's how the idea was taking form, you know? I was connecting with the vocals. I was trying to understand what the vocals were talking about, and I wanted to respect what the vocal was talking about. I see a lot of people using vocals. Maybe the vocal says something like they're super sad, but the song sounds extremely happy, and that can sometimes be offsetting for people. So I try to stay consistent with what the vocal is making you feel and what the chords are making you feel. Even though the second chords or the second part of the vocal feels really almost depressing, I still felt like I wanted to add a touch of hope. And I did that by adding some really short elements like kicks. When you play everything,
I let you down just to keep.
This kick really makes you feel like something is about to happen. Behind everything else, I am using a couple elements to create some extra ambience, to make you feel like you're in this world which is completely different from the world you're currently living at. The first sound that I'm using is Cashmere Ambience. I'm also using some tonal ambience, which sounds like this. And I'm repeating this over and over again. And for the second part, I'm repeating it faster. I'm also using some vinyl crackle. And I'm using a couple ghost ambience. This one. So this one. And then the second one. I'm also using this one. And then this one. Giving a result that sounds something like this.
But I let you down just to keep you around, right next to you.
Everything that I've shown you in the track so far is there for a reason. I don't think I have a sound that doesn't quite make sense to be there yet. It has taken me a while, but I now understand less is more. And it's hard to do more with less. Last thing for the breaks. I am using the clap from the drop on the breaks.
I know it's insane.
As you can hear here. That's it. And I'm playing it right on the first chords because I'm trying to give a hopeful kind of feel. It's like, oh, we can go somewhere. We can go somewhere. And then it blocks everything. And then it's just a kick, giving you tension. And I'm using that on the build-up too, just because you don't want to have a kick all the time, just by itself. And then I have a couple of risers. I'm not using many risers anymore. Usually I'm using 3 or 4, max. In this case, I'm only using 1. I'm also using build-up snare. And everything else I'm doing to create tension is automation, reverb, delay. I try to add a low pass or high pass depending on the sounds, but I try to make sure that everything is changing before the drop. So it can either take away energy or create more energy. For example, for all the drums, I am using a endless smile and I'm pretty much making it go up before the drop hits. Watch this. Simple. Another technique I've been using that guarantees making your drops hit harder is by making everything mono right before the drop. For this, I'm using this very little stereo separation knob over here. If you move it all the way to the left, it separates the stereo image. And if you move it to the right, it merges everything, making it mono. Okay, this is how the automation looks like. Shorter and shorter and shorter. And when the drop hits, it feels huge. This is creating contrast. And it's one of the great techniques into making your drops sound bigger. To enhance this contrast, I'm using Fruity Balance and I'm controlling the volume. And we're taking it down about 3 decibels before the drop hits. When you combine these two, you get something like this.
But I let you down just to keep you around. I let you.
And yes, we have finally arrived in the drop. What's going on with the drop? Well, the drop started off with some jumps that sound like this. If we look at this bass progression, it looks like this. It's an E, then it goes to C, then it goes to D, then B, and then F. Sounding something like this. That's it. That's it. Nothing else is happening here. Nothing crazier. I mean, then we have a couple layers. I have a fire bass of a respace playing at the same time as my sub. Without effects. So a ton of distortion and some stereo shaper. I cannot see again my Camel Crusher, but I can choose my presets here. That's what I do. I just choose American, British clean, or like tube warmth. It doesn't matter. I just choose presets because I love how they sound, but I can change them. I can move them. But yeah, I'm using that bass, which is following the exact same melody as the bass line, okay? As a sub. And as you guys can see, the trick on this track is I'm using really short notes for the rhythmic part of it. Watch this. And also, I've seen you guys try to recreate some of my latest songs, and I've got to tell you the secret. One of the secrets on my music lately is that I'm not using swing. For some reason, swing can definitely make your song sound more groovy, but I've noticed it was messing up my music. It was making it sound not so elegant. I feel like my music is getting a little bit more elegant now because I don't use swing. How is that related to one another? I have no clue. But don't use swing if you want to make elegant sounding music. So after this, I added another layer for the bass. I'm using Cradle Audio State Machine. I'm using one bass that sounds like this. And I'm using another one that sounds like this. Basically a M1 piano. When you play all of these together, it sounds like this. When you play it together with the drums, it sounds like this. The bass is using a pitch automation which looks like this. We could not hear it when we were looking at it on the piano roll, but I'm making a pitch automation which everything is following. Not just the bass line, but also the lead, okay? So bass without automation. This is how the bass sounds without any pitch bend. However, when you add a pitch bend, it sounds like this. It sort of makes it talk. I've been telling you guys, pitch bending is underrated. I'm actually starting to like this song a little bit more. now that I'm listening to it. And after that bass, we started adding some extra basses, like this one. These kind of sounds are the kind of sounds that don't matter, but end up adding a ton of ear candy. So this is the bass that I added, basically. And I'm also adding a beatbox kick to help it out. Here's where the main sound comes in, okay? The main sound, piano roll, looks like this. As you can see, I'm using 3 different octaves. One that sounds like this. And if you're wondering what the sound is, this sound is a preset from the Prince called Prayer Printer. This is how it sounds like without any effects. And when we add effects, which is actually Isotope Trash with distortion and convolver, sounds like this. Without it, with it, I added a white noise with a ton of ring modulator from Melda. Shout out to Melda, you guys are the best. It's making it pretty much just modulated like this. And then I'm adding a white noise. So if you add this and this on top of this sound, check how this sounds now. It is sounding better, but it is not as special as you would think it would be, right? When you would play this sound solo. And this is where you need to understand that your sounds do not have to sound good when they're playing by themselves. Because you're not making... I see so many producers getting caught up on making the perfect ultimate bass or ultimate synth, when in reality, all people care about is the final result. So next time you're making a song and you're creating a sound, focus on creating it based on the sounds you already have on your track. Because if we add the basses to accompany this lead, now check how it sounds. I did add some layers to that lead, which sound like this. And like this. These layers that I'm adding are called attack boosters. That's what I call them. They're part of my Silent One sound bank, which you can find at store.jayeskar.com. And these sounds are just there to add basically just attack to the lead. When you play them together, they sound like this. And I know you're still wondering, like, where is that extra sound that you're adding? That extra sound that you can hear in the song sounds like this. And this sound is another sound from the Prince, and I'm adding a ton of distortion to this as well. If we play it without effects, sounds like this. With distortion, sounds like this. So when you play this together, sounds like this. Now, the magic comes once again with pitch bend. So here's how the lead sounds like without any pitch bend. So this is how the lead sounds like without any pitch bend. And when we activate pitch bend, this is how it sounds like. It hits harder, and it also feels like it flows better. The idea for this pitch bend is when it goes high to mid, it makes it sound like doo doo. I've told you guys, we're helping this lead talk. I'm telling you guys, pitch bend is underrated. Really, it is underrated. I'm actually not using any reverb at all on this drop. The only reverb I'm using is Endless Smile, and I'm using it to fill out empty spaces. So whenever the lead is not playing, I make sure I put an automation that takes the reverb up so it's not so empty. And I'm also adding an automation for the volume of the entirety of the leads so I can mute them whenever I need to mute them. Because I really wanted this part to be short. Without this, look how it sounded before. It was like this. It was a little bit too long, and I wanted it to shorten it out. So I put a fruity balance on the main synth and I just muted everything. So it would be just the length that I wanted it to be. So it just feels like like it drags you, you know, without any reverb. Look how empty it sounds. So that's what I'm doing with this. Again, pitch bend, reverb automation, and also a volume automation to mute sounds sometimes. It really gives a lot of contrast, a lot of movement, and pitch bend is helping us do all of that and also add personality to our leads. And after this lead, we have a second lead, which I know you guys want me to talk about. This one sounds like this. It's a C major chord here. And then I'm having, da, da, da. Watch this. I'm just repeating a C major chord twice, basically. And the bass line is following the C again and again. There's not anything crazy happening. It's a layer of 3 sounds. First sound is serum. It's a init sound with some white noise, and that's it. Like, there's nothing crazy happening with this. Then I have a second sound that sounds like this. Sounds like this. And that sound is actually has a ton of effects. Let me show you how it sounds like without any effects. And with processing, sounds like this. It sort of sounds like a distorted guitar, to be honest. And I'm using, again, isotope trash for this. I'm using some trash, some convolver, and some dynamics to control it. And afterwards, I'm adding the actual main lead, which sounds like this. Without effects, sounds like this. Super simple, but again, isotope trash. Once again, when you put them together, they sound like this. And besides that, I'm also using a layer of the Prince. Remember that sound that we were using with the lead? Sounds like this. And I'm just following these same notes from this main lead. I forgot to mention, the first 2 sounds are just making some sort of chord and this melody. That's it. But this melody, this other synth, or the main synth, is also playing a B and also an E. And that's just making a sort of counter melody to the chords that we had, that we created specifically for this. So when you put all of these together, sounds like this. Pretty cool. Without pitch bend, because they're also linked to the same pitch bend that our basses are and our other synths are. This is how it sounds like. It's boring. If we add this with pitch bend, it makes everything talk. It also adds this sort of it makes it real. So that's it for this synth. Afterwards, we changed the melody a little bit, and we can see a difference, a really big difference from this part to this part. It is a very simple melody. However, I am playing it instead of C major. It's actually a B augmented melody, sort of, or chord. And I'm playing instead of a E, I'm playing a D. And then it goes back to E at the end. Really cool. And this, I think this is one of my favorite parts of the song. It's hard to explain, but it really feels like this part of the melody resolves whatever trouble was going on in this part of the job. So we end up getting something like this. Really, really cool. I love the melody. After finishing this melody, I thought maybe I should make the second part of the job completely different. So I did. The second part of the job is a different melody, and it sounds like this. What we did here was first change the second note of the progression. So instead of, watch this, it goes up to an E instead of just staying on a C, like this. If you ever want to add emotion to whatever melody you have, sometimes you don't need to change the melody. You can change whatever you have below it. In this case, I changed the bass line, so it would feel like everything rises. You can feel something different, even though the melody is exactly the same way. Try this technique. It's such a simple change, but it adds so much emotion. It's really fun. It's really fun. I have so much fun making this song, to be honest. Now for the second breaks, we have pretty much the same things, to be honest. The only thing that we have different is an ARP. This ARP sounds like this. That's it. And it's accompanying the bass, which sounds like this. It goes down. It is out of tune sometimes, and I did that on purpose using Super BHS. This is what the ARP sounds like. But I'm using Super VHS with a drift super high up so it moves around. Without it, with it, I also felt like the lead wasn't moving that much, so I added a pancake to make it move left to right, left to right, left to right, panning wise. So it's moving around my ears. And that's it for the breaks, to be honest. It's the same thing again, but with an ARP, with extra drums. For the second drop, I'm basically holding on the first chord and some of the notes on the vocal, and that's just making the build up longer, pretty much. This is how it sounds like. It's going up, it's going up, it's building energy. And that's what happens. That's what I did with this, basically. And I think that's it for the song, to be honest. For my master, I'm using Fruity Balance to control the volume before the drop, as I've told you guys. I'm using Lufticus to add some air. I'm adding 3.50 high shelf boost of 40,000, which is just basically air. I'm using Ozone once again, and I'm using God Particle. Remember, I know this is not the correct way to do things, but lately, I've been starting my projects lately with my master chain on, right from the start. And I work around it. Like I do my mixing around my mastering. Instead of doing my mastering around my mixing, I do it backwards. So that's it for the video. What else can I tell you guys? My throat already hurts. I'm hoping you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you did. Please write something in the comments. I always read them. Whatever's on your mind, I don't care. Even if you have some questions regarding this song or anything else, please leave it in the comments. I'll check them out. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something, and I hope it inspires you to go and create whatever you're passionate about. Okay? I love you guys a lot, and I'll see you guys soon, for sure. I really will. I know. Okay? I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, okay? Or don't. I'll see you guys later.